Yeah, I kind of want to profile this kind of spirit. You know what I'm saying? Which its totem kind of is like, it's like a smoky, shadowy, greasy coyote. You know what I'm saying? I call him Wiley Coyote. And he's constantly like setting traps and yipping at your heels and like twisting. It's like, it's not so much that he twists you. It's like he jumps in and out of other people and twists them up. And it's like when you cast stumbling blocks before your brother and stuff like that. They start doing it because they're operating out of the trickster spirit, which is, you know what I'm saying? It's like in the Bible, it's described as also the angel of light. They're masquerading. And also, here's another, I was just watching this thing about Elijah, and there's a part where an angel of God goes down and tells these other prophets that, yeah, man, tell him to do this, because the dude was so cautious he wouldn't go out at all. So they actually had to send angels from God to trick these false prophets. So in a way, this is a real strategy that's documented, even though that time it was God that was doing it. But the father of lies, you know what I'm saying? It's the one who knows all the tricks. And the Indians do know this this trickster spirit, or you know, Michi Manitou. Like Michigan is basically named after this freaking guy too, and Michi. It's the great spirit of evil, Satan, the devil. You know what I'm saying? In his spirits, because there's many freaking spirits out here. So to acknowledge that there's many spirits of the evil side and of God's side is part of your faith. It's like, listen, it tells you straight out in the Bible that there's spirits. And God is called the Father of Spirits, the Father of Lights, the Lord of Spirits. You know what I'm saying? So it also says that there's these lying, deceiving spirits, the trickster. And it's like, sometimes, you know, I really do feel like Mimi, like the Roadrunner, and somehow narrowly, like, and it's not me, the Roadrunner itself, that's doing this, but God's like allowing this freaking Wiley Coyote to throw a Toontown at you, but God will show you the way out of it. Like me, like, right, and then he goes flying over the freaking cliff, but then it reinvigorates the fucking beef. You know what I'm saying? So each time this Wiley Coyote trickster, it's like, here's the difference between your common gremlin and hindering spirit, because this dude operates with these things in concert, but this one's more of like a super arch nemesis who's using his mind and all his tactics. He's really trying to outdo himself in the process of trying to get you every time. And sometimes, you know, you do have some it's like the flames of his traps, man, might singe your feathers. You know what I'm saying? In a sense. And you almost drowned the last time he kicked you in the river. But it's always like, me, you get back up and keep on rolling out. It's like, resist the devil and he will flee. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a big portion, like, look, not to always be bringing the martial arts in it, but there's a lot of like retreating and defensive maneuvers that are just like, there was guys that were so good is like, look, their whole game was they would let you throw every single freaking thing possibly against you, but all they would do is just dodge it and block it, and you could never even touch these guys. And that's true mastery right there. Is like, look, but if they wanted to, they could make you stop. By basically like Musashi had to do to this dude. He had to kill the other guy. He wouldn't stop. And then supposedly it goes that he lost the taste for killing because he met someone who was. Then it was like, in the end, it came to that. It came the pride of swordsmanship and who was the best. It really defeats itself, man, through killing, and it. There's got to be something greater and beyond that than that itself, because that in itself is the ultimate end. Because even though he won, he beat the guy, but having to live with that, it wasn't the victory. It cost a great price. You know what I'm saying? To learn those type of things, and that's the great price it costs to learn these spiritual things too, is by contending with the freaking spirits and the Wiley Coyote and all these other guys. It's like yeah, they're like shapeshifters, and jinn are good descriptions, because jinn can make deals with you, they can plea with you, they can reason with you, they can make deals with you, they can make things happen. Though they can also tell you they'll do things that they can do, but then you'll fulfill their end and they won't fulfill theirs. That's why his name's the trickster, and it's also, you know, like the great spirit of evil. I mean, and I'm just gonna tell you, this is a local principality of the Indians, and it's told in story format, and it's kind of almost like Aesop's fables and other folklore fairy tale books. It's similar to that, but there's some truths in it as well, or there are allegories and analogies. I mean, even the Bible itself describes different tribes as different animals. Like, one's the wolf, you know what I'm saying? For instance, another one's the lions, you know. Then there's the snakes. There's different tribes with different totems. So like men, the spirits have totems as well, kind of based on, it's the heavenly totem hierarchy, which is different than man's, because it existed before man's, and it wasn't just like man's was set by God and not by man. The angels' things was set by God and not by the angels themselves, I don't think, anyway, not according to what the scripture says, how they're all in subjection unto the one spirit. That's God's spirit, the Father in heaven. I am that I am, the one who spoke to Moses from the burning bush, and Michi Manitou is also this. It was like when Jesus was being tempted in the wilderness 40 days and 40 nights. There was, I'm sure, the trickster was there, and he was singing his coyote song, and it was trying to mess with his mind and stir up some bad vibes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like they said Jimi Hendrix wrote the song Along the Watchtower, and it's in a chord that's called the Devil's Tune, or the Devil's Chord, because the note is so eerie and scary. Medieval musicians took note that it was a freaking scary, such a scary note that it invoked fear and like imagery of the devil himself, right? So this trickster also works through this kind of, that harmonic frequency, something that makes your blood, like, look, say you're all alone walking at night and then you hear an owl, for some reason that gives you this bad eerie feeling, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, that's his vibe too. And it's also there's a certain level of sadism there, where the guy's like, sadism is basically when you get off on other people's suffering, you know what I'm saying? So there's a big Sado goal of all these trickster spirits, not just Wile E. Coyote, but ultimately they get a big kick out of playing fucking big tricks. And I guess it's like they take more pleasure out of getting harder targets, but it's not as easy for them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. And it literally is like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Sometimes, likewise, it's also like this: the tortoise and the hare. Sometimes you got to be the tortoise. Sometimes you got to be Wile E. Coyote, just like it said, like the lions and the roes. Sometimes you got to be on the defense. Sometimes you got to be on the offense. When it's time to get the fuck out of Dodge, you go into hind mode, row mode. When it's time to fight, you go into lion mode. You know what I'm saying? When it's time to stand firm, you go into freaking bear mode. You know what I'm saying? It's like they make sense. It's not that I don't literally mean shapeshift or given any more reverence to these things than God does himself in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually using the scriptures as an example how to see these things in my mind for what they truly are. You know what I'm saying? It helps put things in perspective, and it broadens the horizon of the meaning of a thing. You know what I'm saying? Just like being able to understand Wile E. Coyote, because this guy is in the shadows, man. He's always nipping at your heels, and he's lying in your path in wait with trips, with traps, with plans and blueprints and schemes. And he also goes and recruits other gang stalking ass perps to get in this, and they can come in spirit form and human emissaries. That in a way it's like a spirit box. People's mind is like a Ouija board, like a spirit box, and these things can send in signals, pulses into a room, and like ripples, they will go in all the people around's minds, and somehow they will all respond, and they'll all start singing the Pied Piper. They'll sing Wile E. Coyote, and they won't unknowingly to themselves sometimes, but there's more that are actively in allegiance to the dark side, and then they're more open, their channels open more, their medium is larger. So same thing to those that are in tune with the Spirit of God. It's like it supersedes all their power, man. But all their powers, we understand that because it's contained within the understanding of the scriptures and the application thereof in reality, in this reality and others, and in this realm and in others. These things are so, and they have a cause and effect on one another. And there are powers and principalities, and it is kind of like a big freaking game to them. They like watching. It's like, in a way, it's like different factions. Like they gamble on your downfall, like they were casting lots for Jesus's garments, and they get a kick out of it. The good guys and the bad guys. Everyone's like in this. They like it. They enjoy it. There's a greater, grander purpose behind it, and it's glorious. So it's a worthy cause, and that's the reason why the good angels serve, and that's the reason why the bad ones rebel, because they just can't go for the worthy cause. They got to go for a vain one. You know what I'm saying? That's the struggle, and all of us, we fall somewhere in between that, either on our own, on theirs, or on to God's. But or you'll have to navigate between these three paths presented for you all at all times, and it is a trip, and it does make life interesting. So like, it's like a video game, dude. It's like video games are so entertaining, so addictive, so fun. You really, when you accomplish and beat a new level, you know what I'm saying? So, and the same thing with this scripture, and understanding these spirits and profiling the spirit world, and trying to make an active resistance against it. It makes it all worth the while, even though it is a pain in the backside a lot.